I am a real man. Hey,
Dude,
you got to pipe that in to start
I know.
it.
I wish I could if we didn't get strucken down on YouTube. But I went, to the fridge and I was like, because I had 2 more Real American beers from the last, case that I bought, and I was like, no, I can't do it. It's too early in the day. But I really wanted to. R.I.P. to the legend. We've talked about him several times. We were both big fans.
I got a request.
Yes.
Do not lump in Ozzy Osbourne, Theo Huxtable, and the Hulkster. Okay, those guys should not be mentioned with the Hulkster.
As well.
Yeah, I'm good. Okay, I'm a metal guy. Appreciate you, Ozzy. You're not the Hulkster. So
yeah. I mean,
too many people are like, "Hey, things come in threes." I'm like, "Nah, dog. This is different."
I did see that as well. But you know what I didn't see? I went to a couple places, and they were all playing highlights of Hulk Hogan. It was at a restaurant,
So good.
a bar, the store. Everybody was playing just clips of Hulk Hogan for the last 48 hours.
Hey, I was around when that dude was doing house shows in Lakeland, Florida, so I'm a big Hulkster fan.
Yo, Lakeland, Florida, shout out.
Hey, if you never went to a house show of WWF back in the day, are you really a fan? I don't know.
I totally agree with you. If you don't know the WWF Attitude Era, we can't be friends.
Yeah. If you didn't know NWO is no longer after this death, then the New World Order that everyone talks about, it's over. No more.
All last night, because I watch a lot of, Nick and I talk about stuff we watch on YouTube when you're just kind of wrapping up the night or whatever. And I always watch history, or rather wrestling history stuff. And I had a ton of extra Hulk Hogan stuff. And there was one clip, real quick before we get to today's topics, of him and Macho Man's. There was this match that they had I think it was in Paris. And it was an episode where his manager was, Randy's wife, and there was no stairs to the ring, so he had to pick her up. And Macho Man, being that he is, he was like on something. He was like, "You touched her tits," and he was like, "I didn't touch
Elizabeth."
Her
hey, Elizabeth caused a lot of fights in the back.
He caused a lot of fights, with good reason, but a lot of fights nonetheless. Good times, man. It's not the same anymore. They're also struggling, by the way. We'll talk about people that are struggling in business, of the car business. But WWE's, I don't know, interesting times right now with the
they got a smart CEO, as you know. They're going to be fine.
They'll figure it out eventually. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right.
They print money. They'll be all right.
Yeah, right. Literally print money. And if they don't, the people they work with literally print money.
Yeah.
I meant to bring this up last week, dude. Did you know that Range Rover? We found out where the Jaguar marketing agency firm went when they left Jaguar. We didn't talk about this, but I'm sure you've seen it.
Please tell me you're not talking about the Lululemon Range Rover emblem.
Lululemon? I didn't see that until just now. Okay, yes.
No. What I'm saying is the Lululemon moms is what they made this Range Rover, icon for, supposedly.
As somebody who thoroughly enjoys his brand, what is this? I thought this was Christopher Big Black Boykin's big.
Hey, that's a good call. That's a deep cut. That is a real deep cut. If you were watching a lot of Robin Big, let me tell you, that's a deep cut.
Dude, I should have bought some of his merch back in the day.
Hey,
what is it? What?
Look, they're not going to get rid of just writing out Range Rover. I think this is. They obviously were in a little bit of a bind because the best double R is Rolls Royce, right?
Correct.
So they were in real, let's call it, trouble to do a double R really well. I mean,
this looks like
it doesn't look good.
No,
it doesn't look good. Sheesh. I mean, for anybody that's seen it, if you're not watching on YouTube, go watch it on YouTube. It just doesn't. Okay. I think I would have probably put a couple lines in the middle so I knew that it was being mirrored ours. I mean, okay. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're going to try to use it all that much. Or, Jesus, I hope not.
Wrong. I'm going to cut this right now. I'm going to put this for 6 months down the road.
Let's hope not. But, yeah, I think it's just for things that, where Range Rover being written out doesn't fit. They're gonna put. But, look, they were screwed because the best double R is Rolls Royce, and they couldn't go anywhere near that kind of look.
Oh man, it's unfortunate. It's almost like you even said, the Jaguar. I've got to say that right for the people.
Yeah, people go crazy.
They go wild for that.
I had an English teacher go in the comments and go, "You're not saying diesel properly."
I was somebody say, "You're not saying aluminium correctly." I was like, "Hey, listen." For starters, English is my second language. If you didn't know this, it's pretty fucking good for being a second.
Just so we're clear, don't you remember the Tea Party? We'll say it our way.
Exactly. Aluminum, and tires are spelt differently in America. I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
relax, people. We're not English majors. I can promise you that.
We can barely put a show together, but yet it's growing
Exactly
at
right.
speeds that no one has ever thought, seen, or expected. But no, seriously, I just wanted to bring that up because I meant to bring it up last week and we just didn't get to it. And I hope that they don't use it. You know, the Honda trend. We talked about Kia. I think it was last week. The brands are going more minimalistic. I don't know what signs of what is coming for everybody, but I don't think anybody's quite nailed it yet. If we had to pinpoint it of who's kind of done it better, I guess maybe Honda's did a little bit better just because it was a nicer font. But other than that, it's not looking good.
I think if you're looking for minimalism, it would be the old Honda logo. It'd be kind of like what Rolls-Royce does. I mean, you can even say, Bentley has had that same look. They've refreshed it and given it facelifts, but that stuff is fine. That is not why you're succeeding and failing as a business. It's some stupid icon or written out letters or whatever the case may be. So I understand what everybody's doing. Range Rover feels like they want to be able to stamp this and that it's Range Rover in some different parts of the car. Or, you're even talking about, are they looking at things for apparel? Are they looking at, things to be put on a hat that's not just Range Rover spelled out? I mean, cool, man. But I don't know. Let's try to get more cars into the U.S. and to the rest of the world and not worry so much about this if I'm Range Rover. Since your other half of the company, Land Rover's not even bringing in vehicles.
Preach for the people in the back.
Or Jaguar, excuse me, Jaguar, not Land Rover. Yeah, Jaguar. I think you guys knew what I was saying.
Did you have your coffee yet? Have you had your energy drink? What's going on?
Hey, I got a Maybach in the shop. I had a Jeep 392 I had to deal with this morning. Been a real wild morning over here, Rob.
Fair. What does jazz you up though? Do you ever need like a midday pick me up when you're working on cars, or you're just kind of going through the office?
Well, when it's 110 out here, I'm pretty good with just the sweat and that kind of thing. That makes you go. But yeah, man, I like. I've dabbled in some energy drinks.
Okay, fair.
I've dabbled in some energy drinks like the rest of us.
Okay. Real quick, there was one at Costco. Actually, I don't remember where I picked it up, but C-Bum,
Yeah.
8-time, 7-time, whatever, Mr. Physique Olympian. He has a whole brand of stuff. Just got to throw it out there because it's hard to find good tasting protein powders, bars, drinks sometimes if you want to experiment. His line of stuff is pretty good, and all of his drinks are like Dr. Bum, right? It's all based off of his name. Actually, pretty good tasting. If you see one in a gas station, try it out. They're pretty tasty.
Yeah, I'll have to test that.
Yeah, I like fizzy drinks, man. The carbonated stuff, I got to try it. All right, before we get into the rest of the topics, clutchculturepodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send us an email, we are going to get to some of your listener emails today. If you want to send a question, a story, or just a comment to how much you love the show or hate it, clutchculturepodcast@gmail.com. Which we get zero hate, Nick. We get zero
Well,
hate.
Now you're inviting it.
All right, listen, I want to throw this one because it was sent to me a couple of times, and we talked on the phone. I don't know if you'd seen it, but Tesla, they basically launched a diner in Hollywood.
Yeah, you got to walk me. You got to walk me and the listeners through this. I am so bored by this story that even when I tried to look it up, I'm like, I'd rather sit in a dark room and do nothing.
All right, well, then maybe this video it'll speak about it better than I can even put it into words, because this kind of gives you a little bit of everything that we've got going on over here.
We are currently full. We have no more parkings available or chargers.
How do you know your food's ready?
We have no idea.
The app is not launching. We're not still programming.
This sounds like Tesla.
It actually let you work now?
Yeah.
That person's didn't get in there.
Okay, cool.
We have no
the
idea.
Tesla diner is open today, and apparently this feature is not available to everyone, but for some reason it was available for our Tesla. We ordered our food for pickup, which was kind of nice because the line was longer than Hollywood In-N-Out. Inside of the diner was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty futuristic. And if you wanted to go upstairs, you can take the elevator or the stairs. This is the view from the upstairs balcony, and you can even see your car charging. They even sell Tesla diner merch upstairs, and they have a robot serving you popcorn. Their burgers came in these little Cybertruck boxes, which I thought was really cute. We also got some epic bacon and French fries. The burger was okay. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It's no In-N-Out. This picture of Elon.
Yeah, I don't think
anyway,
Tesla's in the burger business, lady.
20 minutes, so it wasn't too bad.
This burger's a 6 out of 10. Yeah, dude. Did you think it was going to be a 9 out of 10?
That was what got me too when I first saw it. I was like, well, what are you expecting?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, man. This is like American. For those of you listening around the world, this is American Consumer 101. Yeah. You're in a car company's diner, and you're like, the food's not that great. It's like, I don't know, man. Just go to friggin' In-N-Out.
You just put that logo on anything, though. It'll make it into food, clothing, whatever.
Dude.
Cologne.
Oh,
foods.
man. my dog got sick after eating the Tesla dog food. It's like, yeah, man, they're not in the dog food business. You didn't know that? Like,
Well, they bring it to
look,
you in a part of a Tesla truck that they actually produce it in, so it's going to taste, not the best.
yeah. It's gonna taste like the box it's in.
Cardboard. Yeah.
So I'll say this. I think this is kind of one of those things that, okay, this just comes down to maybe more time in redesigning the cars that are 15 years freaking old would be just a better use of time. Like, maybe not being at the White House for 90 days and like blowing your company up. That might have just been a better decision. I'm not trying to be tough on Elon, but I'm just kind of spitting the facts here. I heard they're down like 25% year over year in sales just in California, which is sort of like unbelievable. And again, people can check me on that. I had somebody text that to me. I didn't really deep dive it, but I just kind of look at this and I go, guys, this is what car companies get wrong. And look, this is a diner. I get it. It's, we don't see other companies doing this, but they always lose focus of how about just make cooler cars?
True. So let me read you what the Drive summarized it as. So in recent news, the recent news hasn't been too kind to Tesla. Sales are down. The CEO is locked in a pissing match with the most powerful office on earth, and its investors are starting to wonder whether the leadership can rise to the moment. And yet somehow in the shadow of it all, Tesla actually launched something new. Too bad it wasn't a car.
Yeah. And I hate being the person that goes, hey, you tried something. Let's not give it a fair shake. But it's like, I don't know, man. Is this big of a deal? Like, cool, you guys did it. I just think there's time better spent. From the outside looking in, it's just like I think we could, probably worry about the design of our cars and upgrading them and not having cars that are 10 years old in design and, getting left behind in your own space. I mean, there are EVs that look better than Teslas now, and you guys had like a 10-year head start.
Yeah, and it's funny too. They say, the optimization is very on brand, which on brand is such an interesting term in 2025. I think on brand 10, 15 years ago is completely different to what on brand is today. I think if you slap that logo, like they go on here to say, first, came the first was the tunneling operation, followed by the flamethrowers, the tequila. Tesla was going to be the Subway. Now they're competing with the Subway. It's just, putting your name, I guess, and your distribution power behind almost anything is kind of the aim of today in the social media age of business. Whereas before, being on brand was like that swoop. For instance, everybody always refers to Nike, like Nike, which they've kind of gone in their own different way too in the social media world. But like it used to mean something differently, right? Like you used to have just one direction for the business, one direction for the brand. Now it's how can I, continue to be everywhere on everything for everyone and not really focus on what kind of got you to the dance, as you said last week.
Yeah, that it's funny. That's a good way of putting it. But I would say what used to be the focus of companies was how do we get vertically integrated? Like how do we shore up our supply chain? How do we maybe do some acquisitions? Now it's like, how can I look cool on social media but not actually do a whole lot? That's what on brand means now. Well, it's on brand for them. It's like, well, what does that mean? How's it on brand for Tesla to put a diner up? You just now again, we're having this conversation, I think, right now inside a few of the things I'm involved in. We need to get back to a place where words matter.
Sure.
Right?
Dude, please,
we need to get back to a place. What is on brand about a diner? That just means that, well, they try stuff. They once did a flamethrower. Yeah, but they didn't release it to people like, selling it millions of flamethrowers with your Tesla. So it was just it was a publicity stunt. Yeah. Okay. So you can say that they're a publicity stunt company. That's what on brand means. So where is the car manufacturing in the on brand thing? Right? Yeah. So when you look at industrial powers that have been built through generations, they stay on brand, meaning they just do what they're good at for 100 years. And now on brand means, they did this really multi-million-dollar project to look cool on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok for literally, this is only going to be a phenomenon for best case 2 weeks.
Yeah, dude.
They did all this for 2 weeks of social media publicity?
It's crazy because if I just personally think back to, because I've basically lived most of my life. Obviously, we've talked about where we've grown up with, and we've done a lot of stuff with our hands, blue collar type stuff. But for the most of my developing youth, I was online, learning the internet, learning computers, learning all that kind of stuff. So from 2012, in my early 20s to now my early 30s, 2012 on brand talking to brand directors or talking to people who are helping shape brands versus like 2022 in the middle of all the flu years, completely different. Like people's brains completely got melted because it was such a rush to how do I essentially prevent what happened to a lot of businesses during those down years to happen? And a lot of it went to, all right, we got to be everywhere at all times for everyone. And it's kind of just diluted a lot of what were once great brands, in my opinion.
Yeah, I tend to agree and we can also see it with consumer purchasing just of regular everyday things. They're going to more niche, founder-led companies. They're staying away from the old brands. You know, you have things like people go, well, look, Toys R Us went away, so Toys R Us was never going to work in 2025. Well, that's not true. Toys R Us went away because they got gobbled up by private equity and they dumped a whole bunch of debt onto their balance sheet so they could just milk the company for money. You got to look into these things to understand Toys R Us would have worked because kids buy toys for. I mean, look at the Lego stores. Mm-hmm. You want to tell me that Toys R Us couldn't have run today? Give me a break. You been into a Lego store? Like,
do I need to show you my Lego Super again?
Yeah. Those places are crazy. But you got to understand that Toys R Us didn't stay on brand.
Yeah,
that was their whole problem. Bring in toys kids like to play with. Toys R Us would still be around. Right? But a private equity firm comes in or an equity partner comes in and goes, let's drain the company of money. This is what I see with Tesla. And I love that you brought this up. We got to stop with this on-brand thing, and you got to say your core business is building electric vehicles. You have an outdated-looking brand to me, just on the car side.
Yeah.
Your technology hasn't advanced enough in the last 10 years compared to where you were 10 years ago. It's time to get back in the lab and get back on the car building thing and stop with this. And look, people are cheering it on, you know, like, oh, this is on brand. This is just nutty. It's like, well, the time for nutty was 10 years ago, right? To get noticed. You got to get out of the nutty business. And I think, look, I don't think it's ever going to happen, you know, without him just wanting to. But I'll say this. It's time for somebody else to lead that company. That's my personal belief.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. Probably the same with some of the other, you know, social, what is it, the Magnificent Seven, I guess they call it, like all the tech companies. A couple of those could use a couple of shaking up as well. But, you know, we don't have to say names. We just say allegedly, possibly, maybe. Please don't shadow ban any of our accounts because we don't know what we're talking. We're talking about cars. No, but speaking of cars and on brand, a lot of the listener questions today, a lot of the DMs that we've gotten recently have just been about used cars, about the car buying process, the prices of cars, a lot of that kind of stuff. So
hey, your boy Mercedes and bow ties, he got knotted up this week, huh?
He's on the list. And you know what's funny? I brought him up early on because I just was a fan of his stuff, and we've talked about a couple of his videos, especially even pre tariff talks. Like the guy's just great on social media. Now, him and I've seen a couple of other personalities get into the Toyota used car conversation. I'm like, oh, interesting. Haven't really heard many people do that. And then also kind of a side note, I've seen some financial bros and broads of sorts talking about the used car market and the car market, which that was just interesting because I didn't expect that to necessarily be a topic that they wanted to frame some of their social content around. So just putting in the back of your head as we kind of talked to some of these stories. But you and I talked about car payments over the phone the other day, and I had just read a couple of Edmunds reports, man. So check this out, okay? 1 in 5 new car shoppers committed to $1,000+ monthly payment in Q2 of 2025. And I think both of us thought, okay, because you even said 700 is about the average, has been already the average for a while. I think we've exploded past $1,000, if not now, pretty soon.
Yeah, because we're 20% of Q2 payments that were taken out crested $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Is that right? That's the data?
It was percentage-wise, it's 17.7.
Yeah, so 20% basically. And so when I got this, you and I talked earlier in the week, I started to reach out to people that are principal owners of dealerships, dealership groups. One of my contacts who I helped him with his car collection, he's been involved with the Toyota brand for 40 years. So started, in an entry-level position and now has owned Toyota dealerships all over the country. Has never been out of the Toyota family for 40 years. Now, he owns Audi and BMW and all kinds of other dealership groups, but he's always been for 40 years inside, Toyota and other brands. He told me he thinks this is a low number.
19.3, my bad, for Q2.
Yeah.
17.7 was Q1.
Yeah, so we've already seen, roughly a 2 to 3% uptick in that in a very quick time. He told me, he's like, look, man, Audi, BMW, He thinks that number is well over 50, 60, 70% of all the deals they're doing through the finance office are well over $1,000 a month. He thinks the 20% number, now again, he's probably dealing in more real-time data of just his facilities. And you're talking about, I think he owns 38, 39, 42, something like that, different dealerships that he has ownership stakes in, and all different brands, every brand across the spectrum. And, you know, he told me, he goes, look, man, we'll have two teachers come in, a husband and wife. They'll make, you know, $110,000, $5,000 combined or whatever their number is, just over $100,000. And, you know, they'll get a Toyota or they'll get a BMW or an Audi or whatever. And he's like, I mean, $1,000 is just normal. And he goes, I got no idea how they're going to pay it. He's like, he goes, and, you know, look, you got to realize he's seeing this stuff after the fact. He's not in these dealerships every day. At this point in his career, he's sort of just in the big meetings, but he meets with all the major manufacturers. He seems to say to me, he goes, it's not really a huge topic of conversation. Everybody just is like, hey, this is the new price. Everyone's going to pay it. It's never going to stop. What do you want us to do? And now you have the cover. It doesn't matter what you believe politically and who you support politically. These car companies were let off the hook during COVID because they got to tell everybody, hey, what you guys don't understand is supply chain. That kind of let them off the hook in the supply and demand problem. And now they got another thing to blame, which is tariffs. So these car companies are going to continue to push. And I don't know, did the Japan deal get done? So it looks like they're going to go from, I don't think they were paying any tariff, and I don't want anybody to jump down my throat. I think there's now a 15% tariff of everything coming over. So think about this. On the 74,000 and change top flight package starting price on a Toyota 4Runner, you would be, 10% of that would be another $7,500. Another you're talking about a $10,000, so that's what now, $85,000 if the tariff, goes through the way it's being proposed now. I don't know if there's exceptions or they've made, I don't have all that. I'm not deep in the political world, but if that's the case, he told me he thought he would see in his Toyota brand own things. He goes, $90,000 is going to just be the new normal. And they've had 4Runners, they've had obviously Sequoias, they've had those types of things. Those have already, he's already told me he's done deals all in financed over $90,000.
So 15% from 25. So it actually went down as of 2 days ago.
Gotcha. I'm guessing you won't get the 10% savings.
Right.
If I had to take a guess.
Interesting. So, this report was from early July. There was another one that I pulled up too, because after you and I got off the phone that day, I was like, oh, let's see what else Edmunds has or anybody's done about this. And so to summarize it, nearly 20% of new car loans have monthly payments exceeding $1,000. 22% of borrowers, it's another one, opted for 80-month terms. So the terms are basically just extending as far as they can go. And then these trends are along with higher interest, lower down payments that resulted in high finance averages of 42, which that seems kind of low there. I feel like people are financing well beyond 42 on average.
Oh, yeah. You got to realize these are lagging indicators. You don't really... Yeah, the one thing that we have to say to our audience that I want people to kind of grasp is you really only get really good information about 3 months into the next year. Right.
Absolutely.
That's kind of, we're doing this quarter by quarter and you think you have viewpoints and, we give opinions on this quarter data or the monthly data. But honestly, a lot of this stuff is going to have to take it cumulative from an entire year. What was 2025 as a year? What was 2024 as a year, et cetera. But I look at it now, I think, again, you're looking at blowing right past $1,000 a month as being the new norm. I know people weren't listening to us 6 months ago when we knew this was happening, and people try to tell me that people weren't paying this, and that's not true. And that, guys, this was known to me last year that, hey, there is something really happening here. All the new 2025 models hit, and people go, hey, man, these things are expensive. It didn't matter if you're talking about a Dodge, a Ford, a Toyota, a BMW, an Audi. You can sit there and blame tariffs and this and that. Look, when the 2025s hit late last year, I was hearing from everybody in my network like, hey, you seen the price tag on ... And it was already kind of insane. And the crazy thing about talking to these men and women who have been owners in dealerships or high-level executives in dealership groups that have been doing it for 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years is those people tend to have a really, really direct view of thinking, I don't know how this is going to continue. Because remember, they've seen payments go from $300 a month to now the same car, the same model, the same everything. I know that it's been redesigned and tech's been added, and they're going, we're getting $1,200 a month out of somebody.
Dude,
I mean, you know,
this world fascinates me so much, man.
But here's the thing, guys, we shared this last year when we started this podcast.
Yeah.
When we started this podcast in December, and I was telling you guys how out of control this is. Look at how long it's taken the data just to tell you what's been going on. And for all of the people that go, that's not happening, or that's not what I experienced, again, we share this on the podcast quite a bit. Just because you don't know about it doesn't mean it's not happening. That's just how it goes.
We have so much more to talk about. I actually want to play the video from Benzes and Bow Ties, but as you're talking, the family friend who we've talked about before, the car, the Cadillac versus the ISF or whatever, she's now in Panamera territory. She just texted me thoughts, right? So I don't. So it just makes me laugh because you said Panamera too, probably the week after that when we talked about what you would look at. Because nobody really looks at those. They don't talk about those. They don't really review those in a way that's kind of like a good light of a possible option.
Well, and let's remember, she's probably now gone from, I think at the time, 60,000. She's gone out into the real world and goes, well, that number really doesn't get me what I want. And now that's bumped up to 80, 82, 85. And now look at it, guys. You have a real life buyer that who started at a number and now goes 60 is not it. My new number's 80 plus.
Yeah.
You can sit here and say that's not happening in your world. That's happening in the real world every day. 10 grand here, 15 grand there, another 18 grand there. And all of a sudden you go from, I was going to pay $600 a month to now I'm paying $1,150 a month. And what I was told from this dealer principal is he thinks over 50% of the deals across all of his dealerships are cresting $1,000. He says that this Edmunds number is low.
Which I believe, because like anything, when you hear things talked about employment, housing, jobs, cars, whatever, it's all they're all lagging indicators, right? But they talk a lot of times they talk about it like it's the most up to date news and it's going to give you the best insight into whatever they're talking about. Not usually the case. Hey, do you want to do a real quick live assessment? I'm just going to tell you the specs, and I want to see what Nick's live specs are or thoughts on the specs are. Okay, I don't want to say where it's at just in case this drops. Obviously, it's a 21 pre-owned, certified pre-owned Panamera 4S. It's got 23,000 miles. It has a Porsche approved 24-month warranty, PDK, obviously, all-wheel drive, 79.9.
Yeah, I mean, I was close. She went from 60 to 80.
Yeah,
right.
Yep.
It's almost as like I'm in this world.
Just for a living. For 20
yeah.
years.
So, look, that's probably a really great $65,000 buy.
Okay.
In 2025, it's a really excellent $80,000 buy. That's what people have to wrap their head around.
Yeah.
Like that, people just don't want to hear the reality is that, yes, man, that's probably a $65,000 vehicle. But here's the thing. When you're talking about Panamera, first of all, you're getting a lot of car. Okay, let's be fair here. The Panamera is slept on because a lot of people can't get beyond the design. It's just not your design language, I understand. Doesn't have as much of an angular look as a lot of modern cars. To me, I've always liked the Panamera from the very beginning. I don't think she really has a choice. I mean, maybe she'll get lucky and the guy will bring her down to 74, 99, but he doesn't have to. He just assumes he's going to sell the car. And at the end of the day, that's what these guys are living on. I had a meeting, I told people this, of one of the biggest dealers of a certain brand in a country. He's like, yeah, we don't even need salespeople. People just buy them. He's like, I don't even have to worry about it. They're priced at a point. People buy them. I don't know why they buy them. I wouldn't buy it. But I mean, guys, you got to understand, like, it's not right, wrong, or indifferent. It's how it is. And
Absolutely.
So if she wants what she wants, and you and I talked about this when you first contacted me about her a few months ago, I said 60 ain't it.
Yeah.
She's not going to get what she wants for 60. It just took her this long to realize she's going to have to pay 80.
Yeah, and last week, and then funny enough, this morning a clip dropped where we talked about, sometimes you have to make those compromises that before weren't non-negotiables, or your non-negotiables kind of move because the market has moved so drastically. And so let me play this video of Benzes and Bow Ties, because there was one of the other personalities who I don't subscribe to his channel, but I see him on YouTube all the time, and he does the live where he calls the dealerships and he works a deal for a client live. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. I think I know who it is.
Okay, there's a couple of people that do, but this guy, he's a younger blonde-ish guy with glasses, kind of a nerdy type. Very cool. I mean nerdy in a good way. But he did a whole reaction to this video as well, and kind of took an opposing approach to some of the things that I think this guy's name's Doug. I don't remember. But anyway, let me play it real quick. You guys are on the same channel, so again, I'm not going to try to blow your eardrums.
Used Toyotas make my blood boil. There's no other way to say it. I mean, they're so frustrating, but they're also so fascinating. I just really cannot understand the buyer logic, how the market is so inflated on these used Toyotas. It proves that people do not consider all options when buying cars. I just appraised a 2024 4Runner Limited. The number was $50,200. Okay. This car had an MSRP of $55,000. That realistically puts its market price at or even above its original MSRP. Okay, now you might tell me, oh no, but we don't like the new 4Runner. Okay, fine. Even still, you could get a new 4Runner with probably some special new car rates and probably pay less. So even if you don't like the 4Runner model, okay, fine, take a RAV4.
He's talking straight interest rate here, guys.
When you appraise these cars, they depreciate so little. And what determines depreciation is somebody's willingness to pay for that product on the used market. Why do luxury cars depreciate more? It's because people either want a new luxury car or they want a deal. But people shopping for
scared
Toyotas
of the repair bills.
Apparently think that you're going to get a much better deal if you buy used. And it just isn't true. The market isn't there. You're actually going to pay more by a lot than if you were just to get a new one, where you could probably get some discounts. You can get new car interest rates versus used car interest rates.
There we go.
It's so fascinating to me that buyers don't consider all options when they're shopping for a car. And the used Toyota market is proof of that. It just is.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's unpack this.
Let's.
First of all, he's right, because I would never advocate somebody buys a 2 or 3 year old Toyota because they're not fully depreciated. Okay, so that's not the depreciation curve of a Toyota. He's exactly right. Okay, and again, this is the support all of you have for Toyota that we've seen. Is you say, my resale value is high. That's very true. We would tell people, if you really want to be in the Toyota market, you got to look at, and this is why we've said, you need to look at all options. Okay, you don't need to just go buy a 2022. And like he said, you're going to pay more per month if you have to finance it. I mean, there's no question you are, because used car financing is higher than a new car financing. It's that simple. It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. Okay, because it just is what it is. That's what the banks are going to loan. That's how they play the game. That game's that's decades and decades, guys. This isn't new in 2025. The way everyone tries to make you believe things are brand new. It's like Groundhog Day. They want you to believe that everything's brand new for 2025. This stuff has been happening in the market for as long as I've been buying cars. The avenue that he is trying to explain to people is exactly what we say before you buy a car, just he's talking about the actual financing of a car. Far too many people are not driving enough cars to figure out what they actually want to buy. So people are going and doing these crazy deals, whether it's a Toyota, like he's talking about, they're just buying them and going, well, it's a Toyota. Then they get in them and they're like, this isn't what I wanted. And it's like, we advocate, you should go look at new car. If you have to enter the financing realm and that's the way you have to buy a car, you should be looking at new versus used, okay? But it's not new 2025 and used 2022. Okay, in the Toyota brand in specific. Now, other brands, that may be just fine to do that. But in his example, the part he left out is you should be looking at a 2015 Toyota, okay, because the whole theory of the brand for all you supporters is that the cars last forever. So why would I need one that's 2 years old?
Right.
I mean, why is it? This is what's insanity about this. I just don't think he said it the way everybody liked because they didn't. What he should have said is very, very lightly used within the same 2 to 3 years. There's probably not value currently with the interest rates being where they're at. That's what he was really getting to, is that the interest rates are making these unattractive as used cars. By the way, if you've ever been to wholesale auctions, which many of you probably haven't, I know dealers who are massive in these auctions, they haven't been buying Honda and Toyotas for 20 years. They think there's no value as selling them as a used car. I know people made their whole business not buying Hondas and Toyotas as used cars because things like this get out of whack pretty consistently. It's not just new in 2025.
Bro, the comments in this video. I mean, Doug knows what we've been fucking going through for a lot of our videos. You know, and a lot of times it's in good fun. But I mean, for instance, I bought a 2014 FJ in 2015 for 35, just sold it for 35 in 2022. This guy's big mad that the old Toyota has more value than a $200,000 liability.
Yeah, I don't know where people get that just because you state factual information that somehow you're mad about something. Like nobody's mad about it. Like let me explain. Benz and Bowtie is doing just fine.
He's doing great.
There's no look. He's making money on social media, hand over fist, guaranteed. He gets paid. Just so you guys know, I mean, his position in where he's at in Mercedes, if he's good at his job, that's a several $100,000 a year position. It's not like he's making $68,000 a year. No offense to anybody making that. I'm just saying, you know, he's a $250,000 employee, most likely if he's at a high producing. And he's a high producer in his part of the dealership. Like, guys, nobody's hating because they state factual information. All he's saying is, hey, I probably wouldn't do this, but everybody just loses their mind like, oh, I can't believe you said something about the brand I love.
Yeah, that's what he said. This post is not about Toyota versus any other car manufacturer. It's simply about consumer behavior buying used and new.
Yes. But by the way, just if you're listening to him to actually listen to him, that's very clear to you. And this is where we always make a joke. I make the joke sometimes in comments. Listening's a skill, folks. It's a skill. And I don't think everybody's doing it.
Dude, I do like how he has, like, the bow tie is already, it's all undone. He looks like he's disheveled, like he's been through the trenches all day long.
Yeah.
Shout out Doug.
Hey, that air conditioning in the F&I office wasn't quite cool enough.
He had a really, really strong debater or somebody in there that really gave him a hard time. He had to I got to work through this.
Oh, honey, you're not going to believe I was in the trenches all day.
the MFer wouldn't take the extended warranty, but I got him anyway.
Yeah, I got him. Yeah, for sure. Look, people get real bent out of shape. Guys, I'll say it this is why we push people to other parts of the Toyota brand. Go look at what's the best value, but be honest with yourself at what real value is. And I think that's something that's hard to get across on the clip that he recorded, is that what he wants to say is the value's just not there right this second for the consumer, the way the consumer believes as buying these used. They're just not used enough. It's that simple.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Left turn curveball here for you. So Car and Driver is going to release the EV Car of the Year on the 29th. It's in a couple of days. So one, do you think consumers really care? And two,
No.
Do you want to take a guess? All right. Do you want to take a guess?
Yeah, that's no. The numbers tell us you don't care. Well, it's gonna be the one you were gonna get, wasn't it?
Whoa. Oh, the Ioniq.
It's got to be.
It might be the Ioniq. I'm not going to lie to you. That's what I would say, honestly, just based off what people have said. But I don't think it has enough prestige in the brand to really win Car and Driver's EV of the Year. It's probably going to be like the e-tron, if I had to take a guess, or the Taycan. Yeah. I don't know.
It's boring. Look, I'm actually gonna say this. I've been really out on this for a long time. You guys know I've made the 0 to 60 joke about 1,000 times. Does anybody care what these people say in a list? I mean, a bunch of people that are just sitting at a track day and driving it around going, oh, it's really nice. The C8 Corvette does well on the track. It's
I'm
really
really glad that you said that. Lucid's gravity quarter mile time is the quickest of any SUV we've tested.
Whoa, what a cool Car and Driver article.
The 1070 horsepower pair of electric motors, the Gravity Dream Edition beat the Rivian R1S tri-motor and the Lamborghini Urus Performante.
Yeah. Electric cars are fast. I mean,
that looks like a Carnival, by the way. That's a Kia Carnival. That's what it is.
Hey, that's a good call. That's a good call. Hey, Lucid, I'll still say Lucid. has done a lot of cool things. If you've never been in a Lucid, first of all,
Yeah,
just how the doors open up and all the room you get to step out because they got the hinges actually done in a modern 2025 way. The trunk on the car actually being something you can open up and get something in there. Lucid deserves a lot of credit. I think they've done. You're right. That design is a little Kia-esque, so that's not the best look. But I would say this: none of you care. I don't care. The people at Car and Driver still think the quarter mile is somehow, some type of topic of conversation. I don't know why it's a top. 1,000 horsepower means nothing today compared to what it would have meant 10, 12 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
We've now blown past the horsepower conversation, but this is why I think a lot of you guys, I mean, I could always be wrong about this. I've been wrong about a lot of things in my life, but I'll say this. I think the reason that you guys don't read or listen to people who write in these magazines the way you once did is because it's like, guys, you got to move past this. It's fast. Okay, great. I mean, I can't get in a car today that isn't fast, that's supposed to be fast. I mean, it's not like you get in a car and go, man, this 850 horsepower really isn't that quick. I mean, come on.
The butt dyno's not really telling me this is 800 horsepower, right?
100%.
Look, this looks, my last jab at it, looks like the Kia Carnival, and then it looks like a Dodge Hornet from the front. That's all I got to say.
Hey, you shut your mouth. You shut your mouth.
Like
hey, we leave Dodge Hornet on its own island here, Rob.
Oh, it is. It sold 1,500 units. It is on its own island. Sorry.
Hey, we made this vehicle that's supposed to be mass production. We sold 1,000 of them.
Listen, had it as a rental. I can say. I mean, I've had several rentals. We were talking about rentals earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, it shouldn't have sold 1,500. Is about what you're about to say.
You're absolutely right. You took the words out of my mouth. You are clairvoyant. There's something going on here.
I know. I've been working on cars. I've been driving cars. I got a GLS 600 Maybach. Just killing it.
You got the mama mentality. You just know what's coming.
Yeah.
You know what I didn't see coming is a Hyundai. Actually, let me just pull up the article for you. I got to find it for you. Hyundai says nobody wants manual gearboxes anymore, and maybe they're right. So there was a Hyundai executive, Tyrone Johnson, who says manual gearboxes are already obsolete as EVs and modern buyers demand digital control and seamless performance.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's no doubt that if manuals were going to sell a lot, they'd be building them, right? They saw the sales numbers go down, and then they stopped investing in manual type of vehicles. And what a lot of people see is they see things like ST from Porsche or see these like rare manuals come out and they go, look, everybody wants them. It's like, no, man, they're making less than 1,500 units. You know what I mean? Like, as much as all of us enthusiasts want manual cars, we need to be pretty honest with ourselves that people were falling out of love with them, right? People didn't want them in mass production. And so they stopped investing in them. Now it's the chicken and egg thing. Had they kept investing in it, would it, have still had good, strong sales numbers? Look, you're just asking something of the car business they're not going to do, right? They're just not going to do that.
He went on to say, too, so the rest of the quote, which some of it, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me, but nobody wants manual gearboxes. Nobody wants handbrakes anymore or analog instruments. If you want fast, there's nothing better than an EV. I don't understand the nostalgia. Some of that is like, all right, kind of a little too far.
Who's he work for?
He is the Hyundai's managing director of Europe Technical Center.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense from him. They've never built a good transmission. They've never built a good engine. They've never. I mean, Hyundai and companies like that benefit the most of people adopting EVs because they've never built anything people are like, hey, can't wait to drive. When's the last time you said can't wait to drive this Hyundai? I mean, they like he doesn't know what he is playing to their strengths, right? Their strengths aren't analog. The last time their vehicles were analog, you'd literally buy the car at the auction and it'd blow up on the way to the lot. Okay, so I mean, this is where you got to take all of this information. You got to say, what's his motive? His motive is if the world goes more EV, they don't get left in the dust because they never built anything great to begin with.
It's funny
right?
when you see the people that have some kind of a negative comment on one of our videos, or with somebody in our comments who's like more pro ICE car versus EV, and in their bio they're like a full blown like EV evangelist, or they have some kind of
Yeah.
EV trinket or product. Like, again, man, like we're just kind of talking about, we're trying to give both sides thoughts and ideas and experiences with everything. Wherever the market goes, the market goes. Isn't there a billionaire that was just talking about EVs, how awesome they were?
Oh, I'm sure. I
I
mean,
think there was a video
whatever.
sent to us. I can't remember who it was, but regardless,
Was
I
it
mean,
Mark Cuban? Was it the
oh, I
Mark
think you're
Cuban
right.
Hyundai
Yeah,
story?
I think
Yeah,
you're
that
right.
dude's turned into a real cornball. I mean,
Weird.
I used to love that dude. I thought he
Yeah.
was like, again, if you followed the NBA, he like really,
Mhm.
encouraged a lot of change in the NBA, and he was, sort of a pioneer, and he would hop on the league office, and he was kind of this wild and crazy guy. I don't know. I don't really know what his motive is. I mean, look, he undersold the Mavericks to somebody that I have here in Vegas by like, I don't know, $2 billion. So there's a little shadiness there. If you want to have a real conversation about Mark Cuban of why'd you sell it for so cheap and so quickly? I don't know. So I'm not going to take his word on what is a nice EV or what is a nice car. He's not a car guy. That's cool. If you enjoy driving it, great. I've said the same thing about EVs from the beginning of this podcast. The beginning of this podcast, I told people I'm agnostic. The EV experience driving around town is a great experience. It's quiet. You got instant power. You can goof off in them. You can get ahead of everybody in traffic. You can get on the ramps quicker. I got nothing against the EV world. I think when you hear brands like Hyundai go, hey, you really should be driving an EV, and nobody likes analog and nobody likes this, they're saying that because they don't build anything of those things anybody wants and never did in the history of the world. In the history of Hyundai, nobody wanted any of their analog anything. Never. So again, he is in a world that I understand. He's protecting his company, he's protecting his job, he's doing what he's supposed to. But the evangelical EV people look at these guys like they're speaking the truth, and they aren't. They're just protecting a very subpar brand that built bad engines, bad transmissions, bad everything analog. And he's like, nobody wants that. No, nobody wants yours. That's what really should be in the quote.
Dude, yeah, you're absolutely right. What a jab, too. That's hilarious. But I remember I ran into Mark Cuban when the All-Star game was in Houston. This was years ago. And I didn't even know it was him. Like, he was, like, so nonchalant. He was just, like, with two or three other people. And we were downtown where the House of Blues was and where the Toyota Center is or whatever. And it wasn't until a buddy was like, dude, that was Mark Cuban. I was like, get the fuck out of here. That's crazy.
By the way, he's taller than you think, too.
Super tall. Yes.
Yeah, he's taller than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to, be in some rooms he was in, and I'll tell everybody this. Seems like a really nice guy. I mean, nobody has any.
15 years
I just think publicly, I'm talking about the public persona of Mark Cuban has turned kind of corny here in the last 24 to 36 months. So I hope everybody takes that in context. But I hear nothing but glowing reviews in some circles that I'm in of like super nice guy. But when I saw him, I'm like, damn, that dude's taller than you think.
Dude, I was like, is that Dirk Nowitzki? No, it's
Yeah. He's tall. He's a taller guy for sure.
All right. Before we get to some listener emails to land the plane, Jeep maker Stellantis warns of a shock $2.7 billion loss as tariffs bite. Do you have some thought on this? This is reported from NBC, by the way, or CNBC News.
Yeah, I haven't dug into it all, but look, I don't know what write downs they're taking. I don't know what losses they're attributing. I can tell you this. So everybody understands that they've now named a CEO, I believe. He's got a huge project, a huge undertaking here, but I think we need to kind of put in perspective. They have got to sell brands off, and they needed to sell brands off 36 months ago, 48. I mean, that really hasn't changed. The question we have in our world is what's going to happen to Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler? Do those get purchased? Do they try to keep a hold of them? Do they just basically try to sell off any asset that'll bring them money, regroup? But they don't have a lot of flagship cars in the whole Stellantis brand that many of you want to buy. I mean, you're talking about what? Ram 1500, Jeep Wrangler. What other flagship cars are these guys really responsible for? It looks like, you and I talked about it. Tim Kuniskis is now involved with the whole brand in North America as Stellantis as a whole, to probably do some things with Chrysler, do some things with Dodge, do some things with Ram as he's doing now. It's a brand in trouble. Now, the question that everybody needs to ask is, when does a shareholder get fed up and make this CEO do what they want? So a lot of times you got to, we need to make sure for our crowd that doesn't know this, it's more about what the major shareholder tells the CEO to do, because you got debt holders, you got shareholders, everybody starts putting pressure in what they want to happen. It's a matter of who behind the scenes wins that war. It's not exactly the CEO's, ideas that win the day. You have debt holders, you have shareholders, then you have the CEO. It seems like to me, if you're holding some of this debt behind the scenes of Stellantis, you're going to start pushing really hard, because you got to be getting scared you're going to keep getting your payments. And again, that's just a metaphor. They'll know they'll get their payments. They know the ways that they can get money. But it seems like some liquidation of these brands has got to come.
Yeah, or just, throw a Dodge shirt and hat on Post Malone and Shane Gillis like Bud Light's doing, and just let it rip, dude. Just fuck it, let it go.
Let her go, brother.
Yeah, dude, let him just take over the brand. They're in lawn chairs with sandals and socks on talking about a product, and it's selling the product. So what do you want to do?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, we got some listener questions. Here's a really interesting one from Dan, gray title ? Hey guys, what exactly is a gray title? I read very little on it, and
so let's just stop there. We don't need the rest of it. Let's talk about the title thing.
Okay, what's a gray title?
So gray title is a slang term. Okay, it can embody a lot of things. It could be an import issue. It can be a salvage title. It could be a branded title. It could be a VIN mismatch. It could be a mileage mismatch, all that kind of stuff. So first and foremost, let's start there, that a gray title is sort of a slang term that embodies all of these things. That means there's something going on with the title. They're not all equal, okay, which makes kind of why you need to get real specific on what kind of title you have. Do you have branded titles are really hard to get registered in most cities, states, whatever. You may not ever be able to get them registered. Salvage titles, you'll have to go through some DMV checks in your area, make sure all of their regulations are met. There's a lot of money in salvage titles, believe it or not, for people that are good at it and know how to repair cars. And you could have an emissions issue or emissions delete that salvaged a title or branded a title. So gray is just a slang term. And so I wanted to make sure we answered that directly.
Yeah, when it comes to you can say, it's like a blemish on the car. Is there, if you were to rate it in blemishes, is there one you just won't touch and another one where you're
I don't really deal in branded, meaning branded, they're basically blacklisted titles. I don't do VIN mismatches on the title. I don't really do mileage discrepancies very often. I did a lot of salvage titles when I was flipping cars. So for those that don't know, I could buy 6 cars and flip them a year. Then I could get one under a girlfriend or a wife, and I could get 6 more under my sister's name. And so I could flip as many cars as I wanted to, but I couldn't register them all to myself. That was sort of the workaround, right? So let's just use an example. I was flipping a car a month for a better part of a decade because what I would do is I'd buy them. I could do all the refurbishment on the body, the paint, the interior, whatever. I had mechanics that I could work with to get those cars fixed, and then I would flip them, right? And I would flip about 12 a year. But I couldn't title all of them to myself, because then you'd have to have a dealer's license, right? So you had to be working within the law. I did a lot of salvage stuff. Salvage title can happen for a lot of really stupid reasons. So you got to be a little bit cautious on a salvage title. I'd say the average person listening to this, don't buy a salvage title, because you could get into some headaches, and there's some things on different. So the reason I'm a BMW quote unquote fanboy and Rob's is that's where I found all my value, because people are scared off. They see an oil leak, they smell oil, they smell coolant, they think that's always going to be this large production. That's not always the case. Benz had the same thing. That if you really know the Mercedes world, there's a lot of guys that make a ton of money because everyone else is scared off, and they go, yeah, man, it's just an O2 sensor. Everybody thinks it's this, and this, and they get an incredible deal. So salvage title does not scare me, but I also know my lane on those, and I know the cars to look for and the things that I know about and where I've made money before. But the average person, you got really no reason to go into the salvage world. You're going to get a deal. Let's be clear, you're going to get a deal on a salvage title, but you also may have a lot of work to get it registered and get things brought up to spec and all that kind of stuff. So salvage title people are really scared of. you got to really dig into why it's been salvaged.
Hey man, embrace the fanboydom. All right, the fanboydom, just embrace it.
Hey,
Okay.
Rob, I'm not hearing this. Let's go to the rest. Let's go to the rest of the email.
Moving on to the next one. Although, you know what? I bet you in the future, I'm just going to predict that like we're going to somehow maybe either license the name. There's going to be like a Clutch Culture compound where it's just like a dealership where just podcast listeners are buying cars from us that we trust because we're.
And I'll be like, I know you thought this was in the flood because that's what it says, but I swear it's not. Hasn't been flooded.
This is just fat fingers. The mileage isn't really that high. I just had fat fingers.
No, I just spun the thing back. It's not that big a deal.
Although, you know what? Side note, before the hail, this is like a month or so ago, somebody had fat fingers on my, like when I had an oil change before a road trip, I needed to go in and out. And my mileage on the Carfax thing is like $10,000 miles more than it is. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here, fat fingers?
Yeah, people are stupid. Yeah, they just don't take into account that you're going to have to resell the car. So that's something you'll have to rectify, because Tim the mechanic, didn't just check his work.
His name was Tim, actually.
I think that's what his name tag said.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
At Valley Forge Auto.
It was dude. I can't wait to make the clip of you telling that story 2 weeks ago about the guys that pretended to be the general manager of the dealer.
Oh, so good.
It's such a long story, so I'm trying to cut it down, but it's so funny. Yeah. Good times. We had a random email from Rob Smith here. So I sent you some photos. He said, y'all talking about the F40 today, mentioning people bitching about driving made me think of this trip to Scotland. And he sends in some really cool, like, older Aston Martin DB, 4, 6, Ferrari stuff. Basically, one of his stops at a hotel, he just took some pictures. There were more.
He sent us a Jaguar E-Type, didn't he?
Yeah, there was an E-Type in there. There's some cool older stuff.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, like, because we made some clips about that too. Do you think that with the prices of things going in the direction that they're going, that you probably won't see too many hotels that just have these older cars that are out there being driven?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been to Scotland. I'll say that there's different parts of Europe where, his experience is pretty normal, right? That people do drive them. They do know where to drive them. They're not. It's not the same as driving them in America and going to the mall and parking them. Let's be clear, or going to a random hotel here, and parking them. So it's a different culture, and I got to tell you, man, it's pretty cool when you go to Scotland to see all the different cars. They keep cars alive a long time in Scotland, which is one of my one of the things that I saw was just how many cars. You go, oh my God, this isn't just from like 2001. This is like a 1979, and this is what this person drives around. Again, you got more walkable cities. There's reasons that people don't have the need to always buy something new. Not a huge new car culture in places like Scotland. Like his photos were awesome. Like to see all those things.
Yeah. So again, thanks for writing in. Kenny writes, I see more people talking about buying used from rental companies like Enterprise. Argument is they follow. So I've not had this experience. Nick, please, obviously, tell us here. From people like Enterprise, the argument that they follow a strict maintenance guideline. They also say
I don't know where he got strict.
They also say when the Carfax says one driver, they also sometimes already have been from a rental dealer.
Yeah, look, man, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but if rental use is pretty available to see that it was rental use, meaning like a lot of there's a lot of state law around the country that requires when these cars go into fleet use, they need to be labeled as fleet use vehicles. I'm not saying you haven't seen or your buddy hasn't seen a couple that maybe were taken from a rental company bought by a dealer and somehow they, escaped that label. No, I would not buy something from a rental car company. The idea that they're strict, I'm not sure I've gotten in a rental car in the last 5 to 10 years that didn't have the oil light on, gas is kind of, think about just the fuel pump wear and tear of always being close to empty for, 50,000 miles of its life. The way human beings treat rental cars, let's be fair, I drive them pretty hard myself. I mean, so not pointing a finger at everyone else.
You got to go where you got to go. You got to get there.
Yeah, I mean, no, I would not be in the rental car world.
Fair enough. I wouldn't either. Although, just like with the salvage stuff, you look at some of the deals, you're like, well, goddamn, that's a pretty good deal. Like,
well, and again, I think the thing we should talk about in the used market is it's all, and I think there's more to Dan's email where he's looking for two specific vehicles. The used car market is your ability to live with things and then rectify the things when you get the car. Okay. So nobody is going to be, if you're a meticulous person, the odds you're going to find a meticulously maintained car on the used market is damn near zero.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's not a way to go into the used market. You have to accept the blemishes and go, I'm going to rectify that. I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to go service all the fluids the minute. Any car that I buy, guys, all fluids get serviced. Okay. That's just a rule. I don't care if it's a new car, used car, whatever. I want my fluids in that car, the things that I believe in, the things that I want to put in there. There's a high likelihood the previous owner didn't give a shit about any of that. That doesn't mean I'm not going to buy a used car. And so I see a lot of people who are now being forced into the used market, or they want to look at things that aren't being built anymore, and they have a very hard time understanding that you can't look at things the way you want them. You got to look at things the way you're going to make the car once you get it. I think that's where people start off a little bit on the wrong foot.
Well said. Last thing, there was a phrase that you said a couple weeks ago that generated a couple of messages from people, and that was buy the experience you want. So I kind of want to just hammer down on that one more week or one more time. And how do you think we can encourage people? Because again, the used purchases, the salvage, whatever. Like people are looking for a way to get into a similar car or the car they really want, and be okay with it and accept the fact I'm going to buy the experience I want to buy, even if it's for short term. Is there any other way to make people? Because I feel like by you saying that, it kind of put them a little bit more at ease, and they understood that okay, Nick's perspective is better than what my friends, my family, this acquaintance over here, there's a friend of a friend was telling me, because they kind of probably don't know what they're talking about anyway. So we're giving them the confidence to say, look, if you're okay with spending the money, just buy the experience you want to buy.
Yeah. I mean, look, it doesn't matter if you're buying a Porsche, you're buying a Mercedes, you're buying a Ford, you're buying a Jeep, whatever you're into, you got to understand, are you really into it first and foremost? There's too many of us. And so when you talk to dealers, one of the things that fascinates them, especially if they've been doing this a long time, people used to test drive the crap out of cars if they went to a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. They would buy. I mean, there were a lot of salespeople that were run out of the business because they hated the test drive experience of sitting in the passenger seat, and they had to do it so much throughout the day. Now there's a high level of purchases where that person doesn't even drive the frickin' car. How do you know you want it? Have you driven it? No. Saw it online? Yeah. I mean, think of the Carvana experience, or think about how many people bought a Tesla, never drove one. I mean, I've had people buy Lucids and we took them back within a week. They were like, yeah, I don't like this. I'm out. Rivian, whatever.
Do you ever, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so buying the experience you want is, first of all, identifying what you really want, and then going and driving that car and its competitors in a test drive situation where you can figure out, is this actually what I want? Right? Like, this all sounds simple,
right?
But I have unwound so many bad car deals. And by the way, for families, for friends, for single guys, for single gals, and they bought a car, they bought an SUV, and they go, I frickin' hate this thing. First question I ask, did you test drive it? No. Now, there's going to be a portion of our listeners that go, that's crazy. But I'll ask all of you. Let's say you wanted to buy the new Supra. Did you go drive a Miata? Did you drive the GR Corolla? Did you go drive things in the fit? Did you go drive an M3? Did you go drive? I mean, list the Audi. Did you go to the used market and say, hey, I might like this used Audi more, this used Benz more? You didn't do that. So even the most seasoned people think they know what they want, but they never drove anything.
I got to ask you, have you ever, either recently or a long time ago, like, what is the most bizarre test drive experience you've had in a condensed story, if you have one, similar to your fake general manager story?
So here's the crazy. This happened during the, what'd you call them, the flu years?
Yeah, the
flu years. It's like the Jordan flu game.
Yeah.
So I had it on my own buying experience.
I have one too. Go ahead.
Okay, Porsche Panamera, was going to buy one for my family. Dealer had it. It was sitting 60 plus days, even during COVID, at a Mercedes dealership that I have a relationship with. Rob, I show up. They had done no recon of the car. All four wheels were curbed. I open the door, dirt on the carpets, dirt on the interior. I look at the guy who I know. I go, guys just giving up on this one? He's like, no, we don't do that anymore. So we drive it. He's like, yeah, I went through a 150-point inspection, this and that. Oil light comes on. I said, oh, that's not true. I said, look, man, if you didn't run a vacuum, I don't think you put it through the 150 point. We go to stop at the stoplight. And by the way, none of this scared me off. I stop at the stoplight and the brakes start grinding.
Yeah.
I go, and he looks over at me. I look over at him. I go, how about we go back to the dealership and have a conversation? He's like, yeah, because I was still going to buy it.
Right.
Because I know I can fix all this stuff. So I start doing the math, and I'm like, buddy, you guys are about like 15 grand high with everything. The things I can see are probably 5 grand. Dents, all 4 wheels refinished. I mean, you guys are running up a $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 bill on this thing to get it right, which is what you didn't want to do. He goes, yeah, we don't have to do that. And I look at him, I start laughing, I go, oh, okay. About 3 or 4 days later, he texts me, he goes, I sold that car for what we were asking. And I go, that's unbelievable. And he just put the laughing emoji. But that was the wildest experience. I mean, they just looked me dead in the eye, let me get in this car, let me drive it, knowing I was going to just hear the brakes grind and see the engine light come. They didn't give a rip.
Dude, so usually what I'll do when I'm going to go somewhere to test drive, especially if it's for the wife or somebody close, is I'll call and I'll say, whoever answers the receptionist, hey, thank you for calling, whatever. This is Alyssa. How can I help you? Alyssa, strange question. If I had to ask you, I'm going to test drive a car later today. If you had to just say, without anybody hearing you, who's your favorite salesperson? Who do you think's got like the coolest personality in the dealership? I want to test drive a car with a cool person. And they always give me a name. The one time I don't do this, I go to test drive. This is when one of the CX 70s or 50s or one of them had just come out, and they had this cool Meridian trim or whatever we wanted to check out. We get there, we're like, all right, whatever, let's just stop here. This guy, Nick, had to have been high on something. The guy's laying down in the back seat while he's talking about the car. I'm looking at my wife. I'm so pissed. I'm so mad. I'm like, God, this guy just ruined the entire experience. I don't want this car. I hate this dealership. I hate this brand. We ended up buying a Mazda. But it was so bizarre, man. Like, I was looking back there. I'm like, he's like, so if this panoramic roof, as you can...
Hey, when those edibles hit, he had to lay down.
He was on Joey Diaz level of edibles too, and I'm like, this is the wildest thing I've ever experienced. So, needless to say, I left a review. I was like,
hey, I'll tell you the thing you should do next time you test drive a car. Say, hey, the best test drive I ever had. Can you lay down in the back? See what the salesperson says.
I'm gonna make sure I'm with my wife, so it just doesn't come off as a weird. Because a lot of hotties are out there doing test drives these days on the ground.
And a lot of Instagram content.
Oh yeah.
I see that they're putting the bodies out there now.
Yeah, they are. They're trying to get a body count on Instagram these days. It's weird.
OnlyFans dealership edition.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you selling? A subscription, or are you selling a car? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, what's happening here?
Sheesh. All right. Well, this was a very fun episode, as always. I think this is episode like 37, dude. We're creeping up on the second half of the year. If I were to say, Nick, what are some goals for the podcast that you really want to achieve by the 1 year, December 1st? What is it?
I want to keep people still listening, because I think we're a little confused why you guys might be listening. So I'm a head down, not ask a lot of questions kind of guy right now.
Lies. Well, with that said, guys, if you do enjoy the show, leave us a comment, leave us a review somewhere on Apple, Spotify, give us a 5 stars, or send in an email. Again, clutchculturepodcast@gmail.com. Nick, we'll see everybody next week.
See you guys.